Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we are stepping into a truly epic realm. We're talking ancient gods, terrifying demons, and what might genuinely be the greatest intellectual puzzle in all of mythological history. We're going to unpack a story that is equal parts epic blockbuster, deep philosophical debate, and honestly a total masterclass in reading the fine print. So get ready for a journey that spans across 3 worlds, all the way down to a breathtaking conclusion that you will definitely not see coming.
Seriously, take a second right now and try to solve this impossible riddle. If an entity cannot be killed by a human or an animal or a god or a demon, not during the day, not during the night, not inside a building, not outside, and absolutely not by any weapon, how on earth do you defeat them? It sounds like a completely unbreakable cosmic contract, right? Well, today we are going to figure out the loophole.
Section 1. The Invincible Demon King.
Okay, so our story kicks off millions of years ago in a deep mountain valley. There's this immensely powerful demon king named Hiranyakashipu, and he's been performing this unimaginably severe penance for hundreds of years. His ultimate goal? Total immortality. His sheer willpower literally shook the heavens, sending the gods into a total panic, until finally, Brahma, the creator, appeared to grant him a wish. Now, Brahma told him, look, I can't give you absolute immortality, it's just against the laws of nature. So the king got clever. He drafted a list of conditions so exhaustive that it practically guaranteed he could never be killed. Not by human or animal, not day or night, not inside or outside, not on earth or in the sky, not by any weapon. One of our sources aptly calls this the world's best designer award for avoiding death. He really thought he had completely outsmarted the universe.
Armed with this seemingly foolproof boon, the newly invincible king's ego just explodes. He sweeps across the earth, then down to the underworld, and finally, he marches right into heaven, defeating the king of gods Indra and conquering all 3 worlds. Now, because his brother had previously been killed by Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu's very first decree as ruler is a total, absolute ban on all worship of Vishnu. Anyone caught praying to him is immediately put to death. He essentially declares himself the sole god of the universe.
Section 2. The unshakable devoted son.
Let's see how this builds because, the universe has a profound sense of irony. Just as the king reaches the absolute peak of his tyrannical power, his wife gives birth to a son named Prahlada. And as Prahlada grows up, the demon king discovers something completely horrifying. His own son is fiercely, unshakably devoted to his mortal enemy, Lord Vishnu. This brilliantly illustrates the core philosophical conflict of our whole explainer today. For the father Hiranyakashipu, God is a limited form, an entity that can be outsmarted, constrained by rules, and conquered through brute physical power. It's pure ego. But for the son, Prahlada, God isn't a physical combatant at all. God is pure consciousness, omnipresent love. Prahlada sees the divine not as a form to be fought, but as an energy that resides in everything, everywhere. And the king simply cannot wrap his head around this.
Furious, the king decides his own son must die, and what follows is this horrific, escalating timeline of assassination attempts. He orders venomous snakes to bite Prahlada, but their fangs literally break against the kid's skin. They feed the boy poisoned food, but he digests it with 0 harm. He's thrown from a towering palace, 100 yojin high, but the earth herself catches him. He's tied up and thrown to the bottom of the ocean, crushed beneath massive rocks, but the very ropes break as he meditates. Finally, the king places Prahlada on a burning pyre right in the lap of his aunt, Holika, who has a magical boon protecting her from fire. But guess what? Holika burns to ashes, while Prahlada steps out of the flames completely untouched. His absolute faith literally shields him from physical reality.
Section 3. The ultimate cosmic loophole.
So now, Hiranyakashipu has exhausted every worldly option. His entire army can't kill a child. The literal elements can't kill him. The tension in the royal court reaches an absolute breaking point. The invincible king is being publicly humiliated by the pure devotion of his own son. It is time for the final showdown. The king summons Prahlada to the massive royal assembly. He's screaming at him, declaring that he alone is the master of the universe. And Prahlada? He just calmly replies that Vishnu is everywhere, in the air and the floor, and yes, even in the stone pillars of the palace. Enraged beyond reason, Hiranyakashipu points to a massive stone pillar. "Is your God in this pillar?" he roars, and with a terrifying swing of his mace, he smashes the stone to pieces, intending to prove the boy wrong once and for all.
But the pillar doesn't just shatter. A deafening, terrifying roar echoes through the entire hall, and from the crumbling stone emerges a form the universe has literally never seen before. Narasimha. In Sanskrit, Nara means human and Simha means lion. This is an avatar of Vishnu, taking the terrifying shape of a half-man, half-lion. What's incredible here is that according to the source material, this unique, unprecedented form didn't even exist before this very second. It manifested instantly, entirely to honor the words of one single devotee who dared to say, "My God is in the pillar."
Now, let's break down how flawlessly the universe executes this ultimate legal takedown. Remember that invincible contract from earlier? Let's check those loopholes, shall we? The king said he couldn't be killed by man or animal. Well, Narasimha is neither. He's a half-man, half-lion. He couldn't die inside or outside, so Narasimha drags him to the courtyard threshold, the exact literal boundary between inside and out. Not day or night, the battle ends at exact twilight. Not on earth or in the sky, Narasimha places the Demon King right on his own lap. And finally, no weapons? Narasimha simply uses his bare, razor-sharp claws. Every single impossible condition was perfectly respected, yet completely bypassed. The invincible Demon King is finally defeated.
Section 4. The Fierce Yet Loving Protector.
Now, this climax is intensely violent, and for a moment, the entire cosmos is terrified. The energy is so volatile that the gods themselves actually flee to Mount Kailash, begging for someone to intervene. But to fully grasp the depth of this explainer, we have to look past the sheer destruction and examine the profound meaning behind this cosmic anger. The sources describe this form as Ugra, not a Simha, which means an incredibly intense, almost overwhelming energy. Ancient sculptures depict him in a fearsome state, so raw that he literally wears the Demon King's intestines as a garland. But, and here is the beautiful duality of the myth, right next to this terrifying display of cosmic rage stands little baby Prahlada, looking up not in fear, but in absolute awe and love. For the wicked, this energy is the ultimate terror. But for the devoted, operating from a space of love, this exact same fierce entity is perfectly calm, protective, and gentle. It's the fierce, unyielding love of a cosmic parent.
And you know, this energy isn't just confined to ancient, dusty texts. To this day, devotees believe this powerful presence still actively roams the earth, specifically in a place called Ahobilam. Located deep in the rugged wilderness of Andhra Pradesh, it is believed to be the exact geographical spot where this epic battle took place. It's home to the Nava Narasimha, or the 9 forms of the deity. Reaching these shrines isn't a walk in the park. It's a deep forest trek that requires immense physical and spiritual dedication, proving that connecting with this intense energy still demands some serious, real-world commitment.
Which brings us to one of the most remarkable and honestly kind of funny stories from our source material. Just a decade or two ago, an older woman from Azerbaijan who had absolutely zero prior connection to India had a vivid dream pulling her to the wild forests of Ahobilam. She insisted on living in the remote caves out there. Well, people passing by would hear her yelling late at night. When they finally asked who she was screaming at, she casually explained she was yelling at Narasimha. She said he had promised to come for dinner but didn't show up on time. So when he finally arrived, she, and this is practically a direct quote from the source, threw the pans at him and said, "Get out, go eat somewhere else." Think about that for a second. The fiercest, most terrifying entity in the entire cosmos being scolded by an Azerbaijani lady for being late to dinner. It just perfectly shows that beneath the intense, unapproachable exterior, this energy is deeply personal, completely democratic, and ultimately bound by pure love.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've explored the ultimate cosmic loophole, and we've watched the epic battle between rigid ego and omnipresent faith. But the real core takeaway here is about duality. The exact same force that shatters stone pillars and defeats the invincible can be tamed by the simple, unwavering love of a child, or, a devoted woman in a cave with a frying pan. So I want to leave you with this to think about. If even the fiercest cosmic energies can be softened by absolute devotion and love, how do you navigate the intense dualities, the fierce challenges, and the ultimate loopholes in your own life? Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.